Hey everybody, I'm live and this is going to be a short live stream. I'm going to talk about this later, but as you know, Reggie McKenzie was fired by the Oakland Raiders today. He found out, it was announced by Ian Rappaport on NFL Network. Reggie didn't want to stick around the Raider headquarters, and so he left. The night before, I pinned this response to the news that was, the story was really broke by Jason LaCanfora at CBS, and this is what I wrote at that time. And I wrote this. I said, "Don't blame Reggie McKenzie for Oakland Raider woes. The news from fellow NFL reporter and All-Things-Baltimore-expert Jason LaCanfora over at CBS Sports is that Oakland Raiders general manager Reggie McKenzie will be let go at the end of the season. While it's a good idea to take a wait-and-see view of what this really is rumor at this point, or I should say at that point, let's also point to what must be seen as fact. The Raiders' 2-10 record at the time, at that point of the 2018 NFL season, is the fault of one man, head coach, Oakland Raiders head coach Jon Gruden. But as far as the Raiders under owner Mark Davis have a tendency to do, there must be consistently mindless front office tinkering. They always have to fix something, always have to change something. Consider this working backward, okay? Davis brought in Jon Gruden in 2018, switched offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators in 2017, left the team alone in 2016, yay, after first, which was actually the best year they had, if you think about it, after first bringing in Jack Del Rio in 2015, and you get the idea, right? Each year, we're promised the Raiders will be better because changes were made. It's the ultimate fooler. Get a name here or there to mask the fact that there's no confidence in the plan in place. The latest chapter in the Raiders' book of let's get rid of someone and bring in a name is the one called Jon Gruden. As I've said before, all of us love Jon Gruden and believed, in past tense, his return to the Raiders, because that's how I felt in capital letters, return to the Raiders, right, would be the difference maker. And then reality hit. To make a long story short, the fact that Jon Gruden's coaching methods have seen better days was evident against the Rams in the first game. Adjustments to a game plan make the difference between winning and losing, not adjusting to what the opponent does during the game has been the Raiders' problem on offense and defense. Against Los Angeles, the Rams consistently presented a defensive front with no middle linebacker. The Raiders never once changed plans to take advantage of the obvious weakness up the middle. One would think there would be a way to change the play, but the coaches have to tell the quarterbacks to do that. The player is not encouraged to do that on his own. So Derek Carr told me this. Derek basically says, I only do what the coaches tell me to do. Okay? The Rams played the entire first half of the game that way and managed to get into the halftime unharmed. They corrected the issue and closed the hole with Nanakamsu in the second half of the contest. With all that, it's easy to explain the win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Raiders on defense played toward the more aggressive game plan that should have been in place from game one. On offense, there was greater use of read option passes, but even then, the running game produced just 55 yards, and that was due to bad play design on Gruden's part. That is but one example in a season full of them that could form a long book. Considering that Davis committed to spend $100 million on Gruden, one has to ask, what are you expecting? The simple answer is wins, but my answer is this: innovative offense and defense. Gruden teased that would come when he made comments that implied Derek Carr would run the ball more himself this year. I didn't expect Carr to be the next Michael Vick, but a series of plays and an approach that moved him around often was welcome. Instead, what we got was that kind of offense on rare occasions, and Carr was left to be a sitting duck more than the norm. And that Carr was left to be a sitting duck was more than norm. Overall, there was and has been nothing new. Formations and approaches that cause one to say, that's new, cool, and works. Nah, no attention paid to time motion studies. And in all, a sad performance. And then there was defense. Paul Gunther's, to be credited with a more aggressive scheme, but even then, there's a lack of attention to gap control. That wouldn't overall, the Raiders' defense has been more effective more often. But it's not designed to be a unit that can take over a game. Remember how Jon Gruden's like, take over the game, right? And that's the fault of design. It's one thing to have a 4-3 single gap system, but another not to blitz out of that approach. There are many times when a bare look front, a quarterback blitz here, or a strong safety or rover blitz there would have stopped an opponent's drive, but the Raiders' personality wasn't to do that a lot, and it cost them. In this update, Reggie was officially fired from the Oakland Raiders about an hour and a half ago. Stay tuned, and that's my statement. So basically, yeah, people say we saw this coming, but the bottom line is, you know what? It shouldn't have happened. The Raiders are the picture of instability. They can't help themselves. They have to fix things in order to convince themselves that everything's going to be okay because we have this new thing we're doing, which means they don't know what they're doing, okay? W. Luckett says, is Gruden trying to get Carr out of his fear mindset? The High Drunk says, from executive of the year to this, exactly. Raider Gann says, everybody that's left the Raiders about to go to the playoffs. Lack of talent was never the Raiders' problem. Gruden and Davis are the problem. Ding! Raider Gann says, I told you all, shaking my head. Luckett says, we knew GM was out. Mucho Grande says, Carr is going to be next. Watch. I think you're on to something there. I really do. I think Carr is going to be next. They're going to come in next year. They might even pluck Jameis Winston away from. I don't think they want to spend that kind of money because I don't think they have that kind of money to spend. I was about to say they might want to pluck Jameis Winston away from the Buccaneers, but I don't know if they can afford him. I think Jameis Winston with the Raiders would be a great place for him to be. I don't think the Tampa is the right place for Jameis Winston. Corey Brown says, didn't the Packers just fire their GM? Yes. Mohammed says, no surprise. Well, actually, the Packers fired their GM and their head coach. Mohammed Ahmad says, no surprise. Major overhaul coming front office and scouting. Yeah, but Mohammed, my question to you is this. The Raiders are always changing something, but it's never been for the better. If you think about the changes on the whole, look at the changes in the one-loss record. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse. Which points to one thing. The people doing the changing don't know what they're doing. That's what it points to, okay? Luckett says, Gruden wants total control as he did his first tour with the Davises. And, yeah, wanting control is one thing. But knowing what to do when you get it is another. I point out this, Luckett. When Gruden took the Buccaneers to the Super Bowl, he did it with somebody else's players, all right? Now it's, Gruden's got to get his own people. Wait a minute. Why does he have to get his own people if the last time he hoisted a Super Bowl trophy over his head, he did it with somebody else's people? What does that say? It says to me, hey, between 1998 and now, the game has passed you by. I mean, I can see that, okay? He's a guy, John is hunting for answers, but he doesn't understand how those answers fit as components into the total scheme of an approach that gives him the desired outcome. So you do all this changing and nothing will get better, okay? Nothing. Like it says, Raiders overhaul teams without project management style. Well, yeah. They don't know. I was about to say they don't know what they don't know. Yeah. But let me do this because I was only going to stay on here 10 minutes. And wow, this is a great response. Of course, it's sad news. I will be back to talk about this later in the day because this is big news. Also monitoring the situation regarding the Raiders and the lawsuit. I'm told getting close, okay? Getting close, I believe, is what one of the lawyers just told me. Close to filing, okay? Now, what getting close means, I don't know. But that's what I was told. Luckett agrees. Mohammed says, I personally think Gruden will bow out of coaching side and be a GM. Well, I'm still not look, I'm not convinced Jon knows anything. I'm just not. All right, folks, I'm out. But I'll talk to y'all later. Please subscribe to Zenny62. I'll be back.